You're listening to KFWB News Talk 980. My name is Les Brown, Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy, and we thank you so much for joining us. We come your way Monday through Friday from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock and bringing you a program that is designed to really broaden your thinking and create a shift in your thinking and how you see your life and how you see yourself. The first hour we talked about happiness and the evidence that shows that people that are positive and make a conscious, deliberate effort to be happy, these people, they live longer than people that are negative. And they followed some college students, some 5,000 college students for 40 years. And they discovered that those college students who were most pessimistic, they tended to die sooner than the ones who were positive. And 180 Catholic nuns who are in early childhood, or rather early adulthood, they wrote some autobiographies about themselves, and those who tended to be negative, they tended to be outlived by the ones who wrote positive things about themselves. So making a conscious, deliberate effort to make ourselves happy is very important. It's good for your health. You live longer. It's good for building good relationships and landing the kind of job or career that you desire. And it broadens your thinking. When you're in a negative state of mind, it constricts you. In fact, it causes your brain to shrink. And then in this hour, we've been talking about the inner critic. There's a new breakthrough study now in the field of psychology doing research on self-compassion, having compassion on oneself. I remember going through my divorce, my third divorce, and I waited 16 years before getting married, but I felt that this time I got it right. This is the one. This is my soulmate. And when we began to have some tough times, and I never forget sitting across the table looking at that woman who was going to become my ex-wife, seated by her attorney and seated by my attorney. I was asking myself, when I started running through my mind, our getting together, our falling in love, and all the things we experienced together, I asked myself, how did we get here? And I remember after the divorce, how ashamed I was. How could I go out? I remember our own conversation. I was beating myself up. How can I talk to people about being successful, about living their dreams, and I was not able to make my marriage work? How can I dare have the unmitigated gall to tell people about what they can do with their lives? And this institution, this part of my life that is so very important, because I wanted to do that. I'm a romanticist. I wanted that to work, and I gave it everything I had, and I couldn't make it work. And my inner conversation caused me not to speak for a while. My inner conversation caused me to have a great deal of guilt and shame for a long time. I did not give myself permission to understand, hey, some stuff happens in life. And when I became sick, and I remember the movie, The Law of Attraction, I remember I was talking to a friend, and I intervened in a conversation with this friend who called me to help to liberate myself, because I was stuck, and sometimes you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And the advice that I used to give others, I need advice. And this is a friend that I had liberated her because she saw this movie called The Law of Attraction, and she had a child that had autism, and her stupid husband convinced her that she attracted a child with autism. And I said, let me tell you something about that movie. Yeah, there's some things we attracted in life. There are things we attract in life. But look here, you did not attract a son with autism, nor did your son attract that. Come on. Don't beat yourself up over this. He's a fool. Don't listen to him. He's a fool. I'll tell him that too. And so she said, I appreciate what you did for me, and I listened to you because I was guilt-ridden. And so she said, I took responsibility for my child's condition, that because of something about me and my personality, I allowed my former husband to convince me I created this in my child. And she said, let me share something with you. You need to free yourself. You need to be easier on yourself. You're beating yourself up about this. Come on. No. You don't deserve to beat yourself up like this. Let me tell you something. Nobody can beat you up like you can beat yourself up. Nobody. That's why that African proverb is, there's no enemy within The enemy outside can do us no harm. So this whole study of psychological research in the area of self-compassion, I say to you, read books that can help to improve and overpower that inner critic that we all have. And most of those negative thoughts go undetected. I say, talk to yourself affirmatively. You know, I started looking in the mirror and doing some inner work. So I forgive you. I looked myself in the eyes and I forgave myself for my mistakes and all the things of the past, including hating my invisible parents, being adopted. I didn't have any face. I don't know what they looked like, never seen any pictures, but I hated them. Why would you leave us and not come back and see if we were okay? And I hated them, could not even talk about that for a long period of my life of being adopted. And so going from the inner conversation that I told myself I was given away at birth, I had to change that conversation to I was chosen with love, that God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my foster mother, placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. That inner conversation, we all have it. It's there. And we have to massage that. There's a gentleman by the name of Des Cummins at Florida Hospital. He calls it the private voice, our private voice, that inner conversation. If you have to mold that, you have to train that inner conversation to serve you. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said she was in this building, and she was up several floors, and her voice in her head said, jump, you can fly, jump. And she said she went out and looked over the balcony, and that voice was saying, jump. There was something, she wasn't in any distressed state, but she said something just kept saying, jump. And she said she was a little high. She said, but she wasn't that high. When that whipsaw hit her face, she said, no, I was high, but I wasn't that high. That smoke wasn't that good. She said, and I got off that balcony. And sometimes you got to run away from that voice if it's saying things to you that does not serve you. I remember a friend of mine, Dwight Pledger, who's a just dynamic speaker and helped liberate a lot of people from their addictive behavior. And he talked about that voice in his head, his private voice, when he took his first hit of crack cocaine. And he said, that voice said, I can handle it. He said that was a big lie. But that voice, when he smoked that first hit, he said to himself, I can handle it. And he said, Les, that voice that spoke that to me, that was a big lie. And his life went down the tubes. But fortunately, he came back. Fortunately, he came to himself. One day at a crack house, face in the carpet, and he looked up in a moment of clarity, and he said, this is not me. And he's now, as a result of governing that private voice, he will never go back to drugs again. By controlling and governing that private voice, he's an asset to this planet as opposed to being a liability. And he's showing up in a different kind of way. And we all have the power. Choose ye this day whom ye shall serve, to govern that private voice. My name is Les Brown. We come your way Monday through Friday from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock, bringing you programs and topics to hopefully stimulate your mind to engage in conversations. I love to hear stories. I'm like a little kid. Tell me a story. I want to know what's going on with you, and I like to hear how you feel about the things that we talk about. And I encourage you to go to our website, lesbrown.com, and watch a message there I have for you called It's Possible. This weekend, decide that you are going to be your own best friend, that you're going to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to do something that brings happiness to your life, that will bring a smile to you. It might be something small and simple as going out to the park or taking yourself to a movie, as Renee said, just giving yourself a special treat, as I do. I love peanut butter and jelly, super crunchy peanut butter and jelly on whole wheat bread. And sometimes I just give myself a special treat because I can. Or you decide that you're going to overpower the negative voice that has stopped you from doing some things that you've been thinking about. That negative voice that told you that you are too fat or you're not intelligent enough. That you're going to overrule that negative voice and understand and know that you are good enough and that you have the power at any moment to become, as Mother Teresa would say, a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter with your life. As so many of you have decided on many occasions and in the process of doing right now. So, As you begin to think about this weekend, keep me in mind. Here's a thought. In order to be successful, in order to be happy, you must be willing to do the things today others won't do. In order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. Always strive to get on top in life because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. This is Les Brown. This is Mamie Brown's baby boy. You've been listening to KFWB News Talk 980.